Welcome to a SpearTip webinar on manufacturing. Please welcome SpearTip's Head of Revenues, Marijke Claessens.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's session, Cybersecurity in the Boardroom, Insights from a Group Controller and Treasurer. My name is Marijke Claessens. I am the Head of Revenues at SpearTip, and I am very happy you are here today. Today, we are tackling a topic that has moved well beyond the IT department. Cybersecurity is now a business-critical risk, one that impacts production uptime, vendor relationships, regulatory compliance, and even insurance conversations. In manufacturing, these threats do not stay behind a firewall. They ripple across the organization, all the way from the shop floor to the boardroom. The stakes are high, and how you respond makes all the difference. So, how do you go from reactive firefighting and costly disruption to proactive and confident control? That's why I am thrilled to be joined by Brad Spellman, Group Controller and Treasurer at the Hayden Group. Brad has been at the helm of a very powerful shift, helping lead his organization from reactive patchwork to a proactive, benchmarked cybersecurity program. He has played a key role in shaping his company's cybersecurity approach across departments and at the leadership table. Today, he's here to share what has worked for him, what surprised him, and what every executive should be thinking about right now. Next slide, please. Over the next 30 minutes, we will cover some brief introductions, key cyber threats in manufacturing, how cybersecurity has become a boardroom topic, the impact of cybersecurity on revenue and operations, and some real lessons learned from ROI and training to continuous monitoring. Just a heads up, we'll leave time at the end for a live Q&A, so feel free to drop your questions in the chat as we go. We would love to hear from you. So, whether you are a CFO, an IT lead, or a board-level decision maker, our goal today is to help you walk away with clarity, direction, and confidence in your next steps. So, with that context in mind, let's get to the part you all came for, because the best way to understand the impact of cybersecurity at a business level is to hear from somebody who has driven it firsthand. Brad, first of all, welcome. Could you start by introducing yourself and give us a quick overview of Hayden? Next slide, please.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Marijke. So my name is Brad Spellman. I'm the Group Controller and Treasurer of Hayden Bolts Inc. and Affiliates. We are a structural bolt manufacturer and distributor, and we do some other miscellaneous fabricated products, anchor bolts, threaded rods, so heavy construction going into buildings and bridges. Like I said, I'm the Group Controller, so I lead up our finance, HR, and IT divisions. We've got about 5 locations, 2 distribution locations, and 3 manufacturing plants. We're in Philadelphia, we're just outside of St. Louis, Joliet, Illinois, which is about 45 minutes southwest of Chicago, Atlanta, and Las Vegas. And I think, people have to have their bolts on time. They have to have the best price, right? There's always different variables that go into our formula and why we do what we do. But the customer and vendor reputation and trust is the number one thing that we pride ourselves on. If you have those strong relationships, which starts, what I think, how I impact it is from the IT standpoint, and having a strong cyber so that our uptime we're always operating. So that's where I come into play. So yeah, thank you for having me.
Of course. Next slide, please. So before we dive into the data, let me quickly share who we are at SpearTip. SpearTip offers a comprehensive suite of in-house cybersecurity services to help clients in all industries and of all sizes on their cybersecurity resilience journey. We focus on protecting business operations, not just IT. So this means that at SpearTip, we prepare, we protect, and we respond, not just from a cybersecurity standpoint, but from a business continuity perspective. Think of us as your cybersecurity risk manager, with a dedicated emergency response team and acting as your long-term strategic cybersecurity partner. We have responded to hundreds of incidents across manufacturing, construction, and distribution. And one thing is always consistent. When systems go down, it's not just IT that suffers. The business feels it too, through lost revenue, missed shipments, halted productivity, often also reputational risk. That's why our approach is designed to support the entire business. Our integrated team combines proactive advisory services, 24/7 live monitoring and threat detection, and rapid incident response to reduce risk and keep operations running. Whether it's stopping a ransomware attempt midstream, identifying a compromise before it spreads, or helping a client improve their cyber resiliency position, we are built to partner with companies like Hayden to strengthen their security posture while protecting what matters most: uptime, safety, and revenue. Next slide, please. So let's connect this now to the manufacturing space. What are leaders in this industry actually facing when it comes to cyber threats? And where are the biggest pressure points? To frame today's conversation, I want to ground us a little bit in what the current threat landscape looks like for manufacturers like you, using some brand new data from Verizon's 2025 Data Breach Investigations Report. Also important, these are not abstract concerns. They are everyday threats that affect production lines, vendor trust, and data integrity. So let's start with how attackers are getting in. The top three methods: system intrusion, which make up 60% of breaches, social engineering like phishing at 22%, and basic web application attacks at 9%. Now, many of these are fully preventable, which is why hygiene and monitoring are so important. Let's talk about what is driving these attacks. 87%, not surprising, were financially motivated. 20% were tied to espionage. And this is not just about foreign actors. It can include IP theft between competitors or attacks buried deep in the supply chain. And then this stat is very hard to ignore. Confirmed breaches in the manufacturing scene nearly doubled in just 1 year, going from 849 in 2023 to about 1,600 last year. So that's measurable, and it's accelerating risk, and it is showing up in day-to-day operations. So Brad, I know you had a front row seat to these trends. Can you show some of the risk you've seen show up inside Hayden?
Yeah, absolutely. So number one, I think, is email compromise for us. So, and it's not just from a finance seat. We have standard finance protocols you get some wire information over from a vendor or a customer, right? And you want to go and confirm that information. You want to call somebody on the phone, not just email them. But it's one thing if you do have an email process instead of a phone call process. If you email that person that back, and it's a compromised email, and it's coming from, let's say, Hayden Bolts, right?
Yes.
And the threat actor got into the system, you're emailing back that threat actor. So it looks legit, it feels legit, the email address checks out. So that's one thing that's probably one of the hardest things to stop for us. But we do that through user training, and it's just we get better, I think, and better at it when these examples come up. So it's one thing if you get some abstract email from some domain somewhere, it's pretty easy to spot that. But they've gotten pretty crafty. And then the next thing is, we have some bolt makers that are old from the 1950, 1940s. And so those things aren't plugged into a computer or into the internet. But every time we replace one of those machines, it gets plugged into the internet. Or you get a robot that gets plugged into the internet, and now it needs software updates, or you have piece counters that are plugged into the internet. There's some network level things you can do to counter that, but every time you get a new machine, it's got a screen on it. So that there's that vulnerability, what's called the Internet of Things. And then most importantly, our employees. I've heard of examples. I'm in some business groups. There's been people that have been compromised, and they've stolen employee information, social security numbers, customer information, personnel information, just things that are really private. And so we want to make sure we're protecting that as well. And so we see all those three things as the biggest risk for us. And we deal with them weekly. So.
Thank you. And I think that's such an important point, because for so many leaders, the real fear isn't just about the breach, it's the business disruption that follows.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Next slide, please. Exactly. Now, when these risks started surfacing, what were some of the concerns keeping your leadership team up at night?
It's like, do we know we're doing enough? There was a lot of unknown when I joined. We had some open systems, and we didn't have a proper antivirus in place. We didn't have all these tools, and we didn't have a security operations center. We didn't have cyber insurance. There's a lot of things we didn't have, and it was like this unknown, gray, uncharted area that we're going into. So that's what was keeping us up at night. If someone got in, or if there was something that was hidden in their system, and just you go into work next day and the whole system's compromised, So, we've invested heavily to try to minimize that unknown. And something else is, like, I think you're only as strong as your weakest third-party connection. So if you have IT companies, if you have software companies, if you have internal tools, I mean, we've seen it in the news, those tools are getting hacked, right? So I think those are the type of things that keep us up at night, and other leaders as well.
Was there a specific moment, Brad, where it became clear this isn't just an IT issue anymore? Or not?
Yeah, news can do that, I think, and fear
Yes.
can do that to you. But we were growing. We've doubled in revenue. We've done, I mean, 20, 30 employees we've grown. We're up to 190 employees now. And we're a bigger operation now. We still like to think we're a small company. But we've been in growth mode. And so we want to protect that. There's a lot of families that depend on this company. There's a lot of things we do for the community. There's just a lot of things that this business supports, and we want to make sure that it continues to support them. So.
Slide, please. So that is actually the perfect setup for this next shift. Cybersecurity has become a board level priority. Can you tell a little bit about how that conversation changed inside your organization, Brad, and what got it on the executive radar, and also what helped it stay there?
Yeah. Like I said, I think we were behind the curve. We started in 2018. Our general manager of St. Louis actually was in the same group as the old owner of SpearTip. And that's how sort of the conversation started. But when I joined in 2018, there was a lot of vulnerabilities. And we had some open RDP ports. MFA, I don't think MFA wasn't even a thought, right? We just had secure passwords that are 8 digits long. I guess, I don't know. Yeah. If you could tell me, I think it's 16 digits now. I don't know what it is, but
yes, exactly.
It seems like they keep adding a character to the password complexity. So, which doesn't make it easy for us with 300 passwords that we all have in an Excel sheet somewhere in a LastPass. But we had outdated firewalls. We had no email monitoring. We didn't have VPN. So these were all topics, and it started adding up. And so the dollars were part of it. But we looked at it, really the board took ownership of it, and our executive team took ownership of it, and to make a joint effort to do these systems at all of our operating divisions. We've had some incidents in the past. We provide these material certifications for our customers that are crucial to getting paid, to make sure that all of our bolts are manufactured and melted in America. There's Buy America things that we need to abide by. So we had some incidents where people have gotten into those servers and they've wiped it clean, or they've locked it up, and luckily we have backups. But all that stuff was open on the internet, and we have I like to say we have an IT department of 1.5. and we have a lot of really good vendors that support us. So we leverage those partners really heavily, and the board just took, or the executive team took ownership of it. So
Very insightful, Brad, as they
yeah,
should, by the way. Next slide,
I
please.
agree. I agree.
So let's address the elephant in the room here. In manufacturing, there is no room for any downtime. Every hour of line costs an average of $260,000. And that doesn't include delayed shipments, lost trust, reputational damage. So this kind of disruption really isn't just an operational hiccup. It's a financial shock. So we know that cybersecurity directly impacts revenue, uptime, and your availability to deliver. Brad, how did that reality shape your team's thinking about cyber risk?
Yeah, every hour counts for us. At our St. Louis division, we have some large bolt makers, and so we like to think, and any CFOs out there, I think you want to say you're getting 80% of labor efficiency, 70 to 80%. If you're just running a lathe or you're running some type of CNC machine, maybe if it's not automated, right? But some of these big machines require big changeovers that take days, sometimes hours. And so your max that you're getting on that machine is 30, 40% efficiency. Um, there's maintenance, there's bathroom breaks, there's people, there's just all the different things that cause a machine to go down. And now if you add cyber to that, so you have a cyber incident, and now you're not even getting 30%. I think it's gonna affect the customer experience a lot. So not only that, there's all the back office tasks. There's people putting in sales orders and quotes and invoicing and cash receipts and warehouse management. I mean, if our system gets locked up, right, you can't do any of that, and you're going back to the Stone Ages with pen and paper. So
Yeah.
it's crucial. Every hour counts.
Yeah. So do you think it's safe to say that cybersecurity is a revenue protection tool and not just a technical investment then?
Absolutely, it really is. And it's not insurance, right? I think some people look at it as like insurance or like a roof or something, but I think you got to start thinking of it as part of your operating program or your strategy. It's embedded. So we used to have paper systems, right? We always talk about the typewriter days, and you talk about, having these terminals that weren't connected to anything other than inside the system or inside your network. But that's long gone. Everything's connected now. And email's such a big part of it. It's as simple as when it came out. We do so much business through email, and one bad actor, one bad email that we click on, or one link can really put us in a pinch. So
Absolutely. Next slide, please. So let's shift from risk to results. What did you learn through this experience, and how do you think about ROI when it comes to cybersecurity?
yeah, so a lot. We've learned a ton. I think I'll get to the training piece, but it's really about, it was a background service at first. So we thought, we just have this like sort of man behind the mirror or man behind the curtain like thing going on, where we're all protected because we have this software that's running on our servers and our endpoints. But you just say, okay, what am I getting out of that? So and SpearTip provides what you get out of that in our quarterly conversation. So we have about 125 devices managed. There's almost a billion logs a year, right, that our devices are generating. Sophos devices that are our firewalls, end user logs, email logs, and I don't even know if that's all of them. That's the estimate I was able to get. So I did IT department of 1.5. No way I'm even getting probably 1,000 logs, 2,000 logs. So they're able to, with their tools, delineate all that down into focusing on what's really important. What's the malware? What's exploits, phishing attempts, firewall detection, cloud monitoring, and there's 300 hours a quarter. So that's 1,200 hours a year. I don't need a full-time cybersecurity for our company. That might be different for anybody out there, but I mean, a salary of $160,000 a year, I think there's ROI there. So you're sort of a shared cost model, but it's a piece of the puzzle and it's extremely hard to visualize at first. So I think SpearTip and their quarterly conversations puts that clearly on what the level or what the value that they're providing. And it's not just a tool that's doing AI and just looking at things and sending you email alerts. There's a security operations center you can call. There's human intelligence. There's conversations that you can have with people on the phone about what they're seeing in our systems and our endpoints. So
Exactly. Yeah. So I know that ROI is not always measurable or it's hard to measure, but are there softer wins that matter just as much that you can think of?
softer wins like
Besides, for example, the resources savings or other impacts that you
yeah
might not immediately think about?
yeah it's the training. It's a hard question. There are so many. You talk about insurance conversations, right? So you can't say, oh, this is going to save me X amount in insurance, right?
No.
But I'll tell you what, me going through an insurance application or renewal, it's cut in maybe 3, 4 times. I can just go down and easily answer all the questions and confidently answer those questions. So how do you measure that? My time, hourly rate? There's some soft wins that way. So
Exactly. Yeah. Next slide, please. Now, one of the most powerful decisions a company can make, we all know this, is choosing the right partner. Brad, can you walk us through how Hayden evaluated options and why you ultimately selected us?
yeah, I think I did mention earlier that Jared and our general manager at St. Louis were in the same business group, and it was such a hot topic at the time. He had done some presentations, and it was almost a no-brainer. We were looking as an executive team, and we were wondering, like, are we protected with Windows Defender and the out-of-the-box tools? And we didn't know anything about security operations centers. We didn't know what EDR meant. We didn't know what MDR meant. We didn't know what MSAT. All these terms.
It's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank God you guys educated on that stuff because there's so many, and we're not any cyber experts. I have a background in IT or information systems, but I didn't get a degree in cybersecurity or any type of technical training on that. So there's a lot. But that's how it started. And I tell you what, I know, Marika, I told you this before. We've quoted you guys out. It's my fiduciary responsibility to make sure we get the best deal. And you guys always win. SpearTip is always won on the total package and value. And it's a single source solution. Like you can call the security operations center and get somebody on the phone. We don't even tap into the full advisory services you guys offer. We always go back and forth, and we've done some of them, but it's a true comprehensive offering, in my opinion. And so, like, we had an example where our operations manager at Hayden had an issue, and I said, you need to call SpearTip right away. And in a minute, you have an analyst on the phone, right? Who's in the computer, who's triaging and remediating business email compromise. So just you guys always win. So.
Thank you. That's amazing feedback.
Yeah.
Next slide, please.
That's not a canned response either. I mean that.
So from there, Brad, let's look at what our partnership actually delivered. So what has changed operationally or strategically once the program was in place?
Yeah, a lot. You've grown a ton. We just did the Sentinel-1 deployment, right? So software has grown, cloud monitoring has grown, security awareness training has grown. There's just so many things that we've sort of stitched together and to get this comprehensive solution. It's just not and I think most importantly, it's not just a background service like I mentioned before. You buy an antivirus, you buy a whatever. There's so many out there. You buy these tools, you plug them into your environment, And it's like, okay, it's monitoring, but what is it monitoring? Where's like the human interaction? Where's the conversations on what to do with what it's monitoring? And some bigger companies will have those internal IT departments. They'll be able to do all of that. But for your smaller companies like us, who don't have this IT overhead or all these IT people on staff, you need someone who's educated and experienced to look at that stuff with you. I think it's a white glove approach, and you can make educated business decisions with the information we get and the incidents that are triaged and responded to. So there's a lot.
Slide, please. Now, as we start to wrap, Brad, what advice would you give to other organizations, especially those in manufacturing, who might feel behind or unsure where to start?
Yeah. Don't wait. We're very fortunate. Our board bought in very early. I think some of the, and I say board, but it's really our executive team. It should be at that level, or if you have a CIO or you have a VP of IT or someone who's really an advocate of this. And I don't think it's an IT issue. We like having the separation of duties between our IT operations people and our cybersecurity teams. So we have IT companies. We have obviously, myself, and we have an IT person on staff, but it's great, I think, to have that double check. It's great to have a cyber company who's experts and focuses on cybersecurity. You have an IT company who is really good at what they do from a network standpoint, an email standpoint, operational standpoint. And you sort of can cover all those bases. I personally don't want my IT company troubleshooting printers, right? I don't want my cybersecurity company troubleshooting printers. So I don't think everybody will agree with that, but that's just the way that we go about it. And it provides that separation of duties and check. And then look for someone who's going to educate you, whether it's SpearTip, whoever you're looking at, not who's just selling this wrapped package. There's accounting firms, and I'm a CPA, right? There's accounting firms that sell cyber, packages. There's IT firms that aren't really cyber firms that sell a package or a wrap service offering, but it's really a separate company that's doing it. I think you should really, really investigate on who's going to support, educate, and develop your team and your leadership teams. And it should live at the board level. But ultimately, don't wait for a breach. Don't say, "Oh, we've never been attacked before, so why is it going to happen now?" Why would it could happen, or it could be sitting. A breach could be sitting in your environment right now. And it's a ton. It feels like a different language when you start getting the proposals back and you start talking to all these different cyber people, and maybe one cyber company doesn't offer this and one cyber company offers that. At the end of the day, you just want to feel confident that your vendor, your partner is going to support you and educate you and be there in case of a breach or, from day-to-day operations. So
it's all about being that strategic long-term vendor.
Yep, absolutely.
Next slide, please. So, Brad, thanks for sharing your experience. I think hearing firsthand how cybersecurity transformed your organization across finance, operations, vendor trust adds real value for everyone listening. So at this point, we'd love to open it up to questions. Feel free to drop them in the chat. We'll take as many as we can in the time we have left. And while you are doing that, you'll see on the screen 2 QR codes. The one on the left will take you to our latest cybersecurity report on the manufacturing sector. It's full of breach data and trends that go beyond what we covered today. And then the one on the right links to our free incident response readiness assessment. If you want to quickly evaluate your organization's preparedness or start a deeper conversation with our team, that's the place to start. So let's get into the questions. I see one here. I think, Brad, this is for you. How did you approach cyber risk across your vendor ecosystem, especially with third parties that aren't as mature?
Absolutely. It's really you have applications, whether you have remote desktop applications internally or you use like a team viewer or web root, there's certain things that I think are out of your control. Like everybody talks about the cloud. Okay, if Google or Microsoft gets hacked, right? I mean, what are you really going to do? There is some risk, like the risk appetite, there's some accepted risk. Um, Now, if there's portals you're logging into, or there's things where they have, third-party APIs that are getting plugged into your systems, heavily vet those. I know SpearTip, we've had some APIs that are installed on our servers, and SpearTip software blocks them immediately, right? There's an approved list. And they were running when we got on board, and we had to dive through, okay, what's the origins of the software? What computers is it expected to be on? So there's some lifting to do, I think, and to understand the business and operations side and working with your security partner with this. But it's sort of what I did is I had a giant list of things and I went down and assessed the risk, right? APIs, emails, multi-factor authentication type of things, where we're putting our information. If you get a PDF, right, from a customer, what we accept as PDFs. Like if I get a random link to Adobe, I'm probably going to call, or our sales team is trained to call that vendor or customer and say, hey, I need you to send this over as a PDF instead of just accepting that link and clicking on it.
Yeah.
So we had an issue where our purchasing manager clicked on a link and it cached his credentials, and then it started sending all these emails to vendors and to sort of perpetrate that. It wasn't a ransomware, but it's a business email compromise.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think having good policies and training is also really key to that. So
I have another question here for you. What's next for you and your team when it comes to cybersecurity? Are there new areas of focus you're already thinking about?
The next part that we're doing is the incident response plan. We don't have we have a backup and disaster recovery plan. We need to get that buttoned up. So, okay, so we're protected. We think we have a really good system. Just in case, what do we do when someone gets through or something gets exploited? That's our next step, and it's gonna be a lift. But luckily, you guys are gonna walk us through that, and we have some really good people working on that project. So
Yes.
because me tackling that by myself is not, or like our board doing that. No, it's just there's too many vulnerabilities and gray spots or things that, like I said earlier, like the unknowns that there's just no way that our company or myself could do that. So that's our next goal. We just did the Sentinel-1 deployment, which went very, very smoothly. But yeah, it's just in constant evaluating. So.
The last question that I see here for you. Beyond reducing risk, did your cybersecurity program unlock any business advantages like smoother audits, stronger customer trust, or faster vendor onboarding?
Yeah. Vendor onboarding, customer trust, it's those things that are expected, I think. I don't know if a customer really cares about if their order or their bolts didn't ship on time to a job site. I'm not going to blame, our system was down or this. And, if it's a massive compromise, yeah, you have some leeway there. But like, let's say an email got compromised. We want to have 100% uptime. So our customers are demanding, and they should be, right? And that's what we want to meet them at that service level. So that's just the expectations for us and our sales team and our companies. The insurance audits are absolutely easier. That is just a couple of years ago, a lot of our devices didn't have MFA, right? So, that was a question on a cyber audit, and you could be like, yeah, well, I do have it, but I don't have it. And it just it's like this gray area versus just saying, yes, we require all MFA on all our devices. There's other things that are in there that just are in our playbook. We have a cybersecurity playbook, so you can just copy and paste that stuff right into the insurance questionnaires. And those things, I don't know if anybody has seen any of those. Those aren't easy. there's pages and pairs. I mean, I don't think insurance ever makes it easy, but it's technical and there's a lot that goes into it. So, and we're not regulated, so we don't have like these, NIST things and government contracts and all these crazy things. So that makes it a little bit easier for us. But even for just what we do, it makes it very easy to get through those regulatory type of conversations.
I think those were all the questions. So next slide, please. Thank you. So for everyone listening, we hope this session helped you see that cybersecurity isn't just an IT line item. It's a business enabler. And as we've heard from Brad, the right approach can drive resilience, can unlock efficiencies, and even create a competitive advantage in the supply chain. So if anything you heard today resonated, whether it's monitoring, training your team, or needing a more unified cyber strategy, I would like to keep the conversation going. So please don't hesitate to reach out. You see my contact information on this slide. You can also reach out to Brad if you want a bit more insights from him one-on-one. We're here to help you figure out the right first step, even if you're still exploring options or just want to have a conversation. So we'll send out a follow-up email with a link to the recording for this webinar and the resources we mentioned. And of course, if we didn't get to your question during the session, we'll follow up with you afterwards as well. So Brad, thank you again. And to all of you thank you for all of you for joining us. Stay secure, stay resilient, and we hope to see you in a future session. Thank you.